I'll be reading from a story called Benevolence. A blue heron took flight from the shelter of a tangled sand oak. Its huge wings flapped once, twice, as it coasted into darkness. Out over the placid gulf the moon rose. Thick stands of sea oats waved on the ridged backs of the sand dunes, their steady rustling a counterpoint to the beat of the waves upon the shore. Eve took off her shoes and waded into the water as she walked along the beach. Waves crept up to her ankles, washed over her feet, and then pulled back, the brackish foam swirling with grains of sand and rotting sea life. In the direction of the east end, the lights glimmered. A boy a grade above Eve had invited her to the end of summer bonfire. Tomorrow she'd begin her junior year of high school. She didn't like school. It made her feel bored and stupid. For years, her teachers had told her she needed to focus, think about her future. But Eve never could tell what future they meant. It was an empty word, gray and far away, washed out from overuse. As Eve walked along the beach, she knelt and scooped a hermit crab from the tide pool. In place of a shell, it wore the bright blue nozzle of a disposable water bottle. The black dots of its eyes swiveled as it scurried across Eve's palm. She'd taken one just like it home from the beach when she was 7 or so. It was just after her mother died. Her grandfather had been too waylaid by grief then to notice much of what she did. Mostly he'd lain on the couch watching old westerns, getting up only to care for Eve and, more occasionally, himself. Eve had filled a Tupperware with water and sand, then deposited the crab inside. She named it Stevie. For 2 days, Stevie sulked in the corner of the Tupperware. Then he dragged himself from his shell and died with his body stretched across the sand. Eve made him a coffin from an empty juice carton and buried him in the front yard, giving him a funeral just like her mother's. She even wore the same dress, the navy blue one with the itchy lace her grandfather had bought from the department store in Texas City. The fire announced itself as wood smoke on the ocean breeze. The flames appeared soon afterwards, small and bright against the dark horizon. Mingling silhouettes cut across the orange light. Not much of a bonfire, just a few logs and a pit. Eve recognized the boy that had invited her, along with a few other people. They all seemed far away. Someone handed Eve a beer and the distance lengthened. The boy wrapped an arm around her waist and she understood what she wanted. She always understood. People called her a slut, but what they called her didn't matter much. Inside of the thicket, they pushed branches and long grasses aside as they worked their way towards the spring-fed pool at the center of the stunted oaks. Snakes fled from the sound of their clumsy feet. Thick wads of moss clung to the oak's matted branches. Palm sedge and sweet flag bristled from their half-buried roots. Sometimes, Eve liked to pretend that when she walked into the trees, she walked back in time, that she walked through a forest ancient to her and new to itself. The boy drew Eve close and put his mouth on hers. She stood still, like a tree. He spread his jacket on the decaying leaves and guided her down onto it. Eve hated him, but she wanted him to love her. She always wanted them to love her. Mosquitoes swarmed around them. The tangled oak branches waved against the moonlit sky as his knees crunched against the dying leaves. He came in quick spurts onto the wet dirt. Several mosquitoes landed on the pale seaman, their long legs sticking in the warm viscosity. Eve folded the boy's jacket and handed it back to him. He hugged her, kissed her, then said that it was late, that he had to get home. She said she had to do the same. Far from the fire, Eve removed her clothes and waded into the warm ocean. The waves pushed and pulled against her as she swam out into cooler water where her toes no longer touched the sand. The salt dried her mouth and stung her eyes as she turned onto her back and floated beneath the now distant moon. Marie moved out of the apartment the day before winter break. Isaac had started seeing someone new, a woman he played with in the symphony. He spent most nights with her, as well as most days, coming home only briefly for fresh supplies of clothing and toothpaste. The time he and Marie did spend together, they argued. By the end, they could hardly stand the sight of each other. Isaac never asked Marie to leave, but she knew she couldn't stay. His new absence in the home they had shared taunted her. Packing her things was easy. All the furniture in the apartment belonged to him. One night, years ago, Marie and Isaac had lain awake listening to Emile Telmagny play Bach's solo violin pieces with a Vega bow. They looked at pictures of the bow as they listened. It looked more like something you'd shoot an arrow from than part of an instrument with a thumb-operated mechanism that let the player control the tension in the bow hair. Telmagny had used it to loosen the hair until he could play all 4 strings at once, as opposed to the typical 1 or 2. And suddenly each note in Bach's tetrades could sound simultaneously. Marie had hated it. The music needed the brokenness it forced on the string player. But those instants of perfectly synced polyphony had fascinated Isaac. He didn't miss the furious rhythms of the fractured chords. He'd been too caught up in the realization of something impossible. When she pulled out of the parking spot and into the night, Marie didn't have anywhere to go. But as she pulled onto the highway, she found herself turning south, away from the city, away from Isaac, and towards the island. "Do you want to see the diatoms we'll look at tomorrow?" Marie asked. "I have a slide ready." She moved from the microscope and Eve took her place, the round eyepiece still warm from the other woman's skin. Transparent organisms slunk through the grainy mud. Rotifers wove their way through the strands of fibrous algae. Whirling dinoflagellates disappeared into the mouths of cephalopods and water fleas. "Do you see them?" Marie asked. Eve spun the fine focus knob until she spotted the diatoms, their crystalline cell walls just like the images Marie had clicked through on the projector the day before. They look like kaleidoscopes. Sometimes their bodies turn into diatomite or oil. Eve pictured diatoms falling like snow to an eon trapped beneath the anaerobic silt. Her neighbor scooped diatomaceous earth into his chicken's coop to kill off the chicken mites. On Sundays, she liked to help him sprinkle the soft white powder into the wood shavings while the chickens eyed them both. Marie stood closer than she usually did. Eve could feel her there, an arm's length away. She turned off the microscope, straightened her body, and brushed her hair from her face. "You like me," she said. Marie raised an eyebrow. "Sure." "No, you like me." Eve stepped forward and Marie stepped back. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Eve continued. "I see the way you look at me. You're into girls the same way I am." For the first time, Eve noticed that she had 2 or 3 inches on Marie. When she stood close, the other woman had to look up at her. "I can't tell anyone here," Eve finally said. She tried to will Marie to meet her eyes. "You can't either, can you?" "It'll get better. High school doesn't last forever." Eve picked up the framed photograph on Marie's desk. Marie, smiling with her arms around Isaac somewhere in the desert, tall blue mountains piercing the sky behind them. "Then why are you with a man?" "Put that down." Marie's voice was suddenly sharp. Eve's heart raced at the sound. "You could do better." Marie grabbed for the frame, and Eve snatched it backwards, holding it above her head and out of Marie's reach. Marie's fingers brushed against Eve's arm as she retreated, empty-handed. "Why are you acting out like this? Why aren't you acting out? Give me the picture." Eve set the frame on the floor and stepped on it. The sound of shattering glass filled the silent classroom. Marie grabbed Eve's face and kissed her. Eve stumbled backwards. "There, is that what you wanted?" Eve brushed her fingertips against her lips. "I don't know what I wanted." Marie knelt and swept the broken glass from the floor. "No one does," she said. Eve's earliest memory was not a memory at all, but a scene her grandfather had described upon his return from his final offshore contract. An image imprinted into her primordial mind. She'd been small, so small that her mother had still been alive. A fire had started on an oil slick about a mile from the rig, and the personnel had stood watching the water burn, terrified that it would reach them without warning. Her grandfather had made it seem unreal the way he told it, a danger faced and past. Eve, sitting in her mother's lap, imagined the flames dancing atop the water, lighting up the night. She could tell that her mother found the story terrifying, but was herself unable to understand her mother's fear. Why be afraid of a story? Why be afraid of something far away, long over? Fire burning on top of the ocean. How could something like that be anything but a miracle?
James Baldwin, a Misastic. Justice includes what may be lurking, outside, around the corner. Say believe, say not allowed enough blue, dances inside, whatever thundering tide washes over now. Holy cow. Moo, 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 no, no, not, does a dog, does a dog, does a dog, does a dog moo, does a dog moo, does a dog, does a dog, does a dog moo, does a dog have, does a dog have, does a dog have, Buddha, moo, nature, non-being, moo, moo, without, moo, does a dog, does a dog, does a dog have, Buddha, nature, study the way. Nature, 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 nature. Does a cow have Buddha, nature, moo, does a cow have Buddha, moo, nature? Do you, moo, have moo, Buddha, nature? Do you have moo, nature? Do you have moo, Buddha, nature? Do you have? Outside is enough to touch and be free. How much time? The farthest edges of human speech and wilderness unfurl from ruffled sleep, with plans for positioning, laundered lives on display, attendant in open-air prayer, so nothing surpasses belief or declaration of war or tongues cloaked in broken rot. To meet, meaning some form of we, are not biodegradable or advisable. How many inscriptions and nouns come to believe only themselves? Outside is enough to touch and be free. Be free. Say outside is enough to touch and hear. No fear. Be free. Outside and alive. You are, and brown and alive and black and in between and alive. No fear. Outside and hue, man. And be and being here, you well and outside, truly free and better, alive. You are margin to margin. Amen. Color by number. Another 1, 2, and counting, 3, every 4, 5, 6, time, we, 7, 8, California, 9, 10, dream, or 11, 12, American, dream, or 13, dream, we, 14, 15, we say, 16, goodbye, like, 17, bye, 18, by Blackbird 1920, whoever and however we are and they are not. Water blessing. In blue shadows, two people's insanity, a single tortoise on its back. How beautiful gets ugly. Lit lantern raised, an embroidered blue dress. Blue depth for love, always arriving. Finless swimmer, how ugly gets beautiful. Tonight, they sleep between things, undressed. They want no confusion. A shell rests beside their ears. Inside, the echo of blue waves, blue stains, the truth of suffering. We are all dancing, a blue dance, wherein music skips, stops altogether, then begins again from an angel's blue cough. Time to get dirty now. A matter, questions of dirt. Question 1. Is the word dirt dirty? And if so, how dirty is it? Question 2. Does saying or writing or communicating the word dirt make the communicator, communication, and the communicatee dirty? Question 2.5. Where does dirt live? Question 3. How does dirt communicate? Question 4. How does the word dirt communicate? Is there any food stuck between its teeth? Question 5. Who or what might prefer to be dirt? Do you swear to tell the dirt, the whole dirt, and nothing but the dirt, so help you clean? Day 39, a Monday. Black girl, you a black girl. Black girl, play on blacktop, play. Girl, black, you a black girl. Jump down, turn around. Black girl, sing pretty song. You a black girl. Play on, merry-go-round. You black girl. Look, merry-go-mad. You black, you girl. Smile. Yes, smile. Show those pearly whites. Stop playing in that dirt and get in this house right now. You hear me? Gonna walk down that dirt road till someone will let me ride. Take your shoes off. Don't be bringing no dirt in this house. I just now cleaned up in here. A dirty floor be a world of hurt. Dirt bag, do someone dirty. Throw enough dirt and some will come back. A relative been looking for work. Picked up a few night shifts cleaning one of those knobs. NOB, nice office buildings downtown. Pay dirt, air dirty laundry, a washing board, 10 ways to get white clothes whiter, ironing board. Ever make a mud pie? Ever taste one? Rapunzel's hair clean? Wash and rinse DIY. Cinderella on her feet, corns or calloused, dragged through the dirt. Snow White, a dirty apple's delight. Sleeping Beauty, Alice's land, dirtful wonder. Dig some dirt, Prince Charming. Do some dirt, knight in shining armor. Dirt poor, committed body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. As common as dirt, corn, tomatoes, potatoes, peas, greens spring up crops to fill the pots. Dish the dirt. Black ants abandon their ant hills, places we should be or have been erased from. Everyone is using the same pair of scissors for tongues. Dirty mouth, dirty movie, a low-down dirty dog admired another dog's bravery. Her coat of white fur, how she fiercely protected it as it protected her. Most of the time, she was quiet, but sometimes she growled. She wouldn't let anybody pee on her fur because she never wanted to be soiled, to be dirty, as everything else was dirty. But cleanliness was not good either. Anything clean was always at risk of becoming dirty. To alleviate stress, she let her paws be dirty sometimes. Shh. Her friend, though, often behaved like a low-down dirty dog. Although well-groomed himself, he was always wanting to spray her pristine white fur with his urine. Maybe on a day when her fur is especially clean, she'll imagine letting him. Dirty mind, dirty old man's dirty look. Do a little dance, the dirt devil says. Shake it, baby. Come on, shake it for me. Talk dirty to me, dirt bag. Be lower than dirt. Old dirty bastard, said the neighbor. Dirty old bastard. Handed down a dirty deal. A law outlawing chickens from producing oval-shaped eggs has recently been made into law. Eggs must now be cube-shaped and brown. Any chicken found producing oval-shaped eggs will be sent down and fried. No appeals will be heard. And that is that. Roll or play dirt ball. Or if you like, ride a dirt bike. Don't mind playing dirty pool or looking past a ring around the tub. Life is time, and time gets your hands dirty. Real filthy now, the warning signs say. Wash 'em clean now. 20 times if you want life. Hey, keep off my nice, pretty raked, clean, leafless lawn. Nice, pretty flowers. Mind and keep your droplets to yourself. And pick up after your dog, cat, bird, turtle, gerbil. End the stress and worry. No need to worry about dirt. No need at all. It's all covered. Look, you smell that? Rain's coming.
He's a caretaker.
He is a caretaker for my lovely. Oh, sorry, honey. I am.
So he's a caretaker for
My mother.
And tell us about her.
My own mother. My mother is the most badass woman I've ever met in my life. Ever. She's incredible, and she's way tougher than cancer. I just wish that she'd realize that, because she can totally kick anything's ass if she wants to.
Okay.
She's my rock star. So. Okay. And it's life.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Monopoly money. The year I was fucking Tony, aka Mark Sloan, and called it dating, Kate was, for real dating, the tattooed, skinny vegan anarchist who would break her heart for an even skinnier, tattooed, wannabe crust punk. And Kate was also fucking a Doctor Who lookalike, the David Tennant one. And Karen was staggering back from Kevin, who returned from his work trip engaged to a coworker, so Karen had to move out right now. And Suze got punched in the face by Brian, and Mark Sloan's girlfriend hated me, so I hated her right back. And Mark Sloan was an alcoholic fireman, the year I had a thing for drunks in uniform. And a year later, when heroin jumped our comrades like checkers, we were still buying six-packs at 9 a.m. and drying out in the park. And in the coldest February on record, the polar vortex peaked the night Kate's mom died. And we waited in the ICU with bourbon under our parkas, till Kate came out with her mother's things in a canvas tote bag, and Kate's dad offered to buy us some pizzas, but we went to the bar instead and did shots till midnight. And then it was Kate's birthday, and we loved hard as we'd been taught to love, but Mother stayed dead. And before he stopped leaving his house for good, Kate's dad stood with us in the hospital parking lot and pointed to the swirling red gases so many million miles above and said, "See, that's her favorite planet. That's Jupiter." How narrow my escapes. I may still have been a girl then, and a cheap drunk watching possums molest another harvest weekend. I went 2 years with no sex. For this, the boys declared me leaf or cutting, plant planted to grow, not needing it. No one knew where to look for me, but who was ever looking? I staged my portraits, hung myself, neck out of view, a shade in the making. In the long exposures, I clinched my flimsy shadow, us doubled up in the stupid shirt dress that never fit my hips, kitten heels I'd one day vomit on in Brooklyn, just like a real girl. Please, don't tell my mother what she already knows. I had to reinvent the well, dedicate each spade's heap to the starry bottom, and there you'll find me still, dreaming that rain follows the plow. Did I year wrong? My student tells me we are in the last days, that God will pour out his 7 bowls of Armageddon, just punishment for the wicked. The end of the world is near, he says. Look around and you will see the prophecy fulfilled. I look around and see that making it on merit is a wooden nickel, and my cup of wine is filled with holy air. I kept the mouse-killing cat, and tonight he watches me floss so greedily I bleed. Did you not know that to anoint someone your last love is to tempt them to flight? Alone I drink and drink under my cracked, lacquered tiles of pride. Whole days I send this tongue around my teeth, but nothing gives up its hiding place. Once I had two dreams. One was lazy, the other away. The woman says, "Do not eclipse my pain with your own. Shake the rattles of our jazz. There's lies in the kitchen too, and they are how bright. Twittering, we run each other, try on expensive cabinets and hats. Rough light is in this time. Withered is the trencher, so we make a place for mothers in the house. Twinkle at the time a clock strikes. A certain time of day. And I see the chime of the bells. Listen to their white-blue sound. Knowing what I want is a complex work. Houses with flowers that bloom in the air are good to our heads. A wet man. Is a good thing to have on. These chimes are the chimes of our souls. These stomach-churning sods. I lay out a creed of roses and white candles. I lay out a creed of wolves and bend over the rusty shants. I have visions of honey in my eyes. Now I have the time to know all what I want, and my place is set in the hall. Gwendolyn Brooks on Kara Walker. Tell me your thoughts on police brutality, Miss Spank Me Harder. If you've had any at all. If you think black bodies don't matter, why don't you just get gone and go? They say we are gone objects, that we have no business being here, where their wheeling and dealing begins. To think of how frightened I've been just getting to my door, my mouth a hardened, crazed tongue, my stomach a broken biscuit. Guess I'd better not offend you again. To think of all the times I've begged forgiveness in the past 12 hours for the body of bones that take all my being to mend. What if they're guilty and you're innocent? What if they snap your neck and they're gone before your eyes can close upon them?